I'm going to try shooting some video about a hollow fly, about the style of tying a hollow fly, and I'm going to have some general blather about the flies, and this is something I've been working on, and I'm really having a good time tying these flies. So here we go. This is my intro, and I'm going to have a whole series on tying different stages of the hollow fly. This happens to be this is a hollow style deceiver right here. Really nice fly, kind of Chinooky colors, albacore-ish colors. One of the general characteristics of these flies is that they're, as you'll see, it looks, this fly has a very strong presence, but it's really light. It doesn't use a lot of materials. They cast really well. They do not foul, mostly. And they're just a lot of fun to tie. So here we go. Hope you have fun with this series of videos. And let's get started. Thank you very much. Welcome. This is how you get started tying a hollow style deceiver. I'm actually tying quite a large fly here. Is that piece of bucktail? That's not really as long as I'd like it to be. So let me try to find. So part of the deal here is you'd like really nice long bucktail. You can't always get it. That's just the way life is these days. But this is better. Let's compare. Yeah, that's better. But one of my thoughts here is to reassure you that even if your bucktail isn't 6 inches long, you can tie one heck of a good hollow style deceiver. So I'm going to work my thread up here. I'm going to get these ends all trimmed off. Let me go over that, cinch down, work my way back. When I get to the barb of the hook, I'm going to put enough tension on that to flare that bucktail just a little bit. Now this bucktail at the rear is going to serve to support the hackles. And I'm looking for a pair of whites. They're going to have a nice curve to them. Get them about the right length. That's close. I'm going to trim this. I'll put this on here. I'm going to get my other one. Match it up. Now, make note please, there are a variety of ways. There isn't a magic right and wrong way to do these tails, these saddles in the tails. I happen to have chosen, this is Whitlock turquoise. I happen to have chosen to do my hackles cupped and curved like this, but you could also place them fat, or you could just get a wad of them and just kind of jumble them all up together. Point is, a variety of approaches are entirely suitable, and it's kind of hard to goof this part up because these feathers are going to impart some really nice action to this fly. Now I'm going to add in some. This is lateral scale. This is lateral scale in the salt water size. It's nice and big. going to grab a couple strands. Make sure they're not the same length. I'm going to put a couple strands on the far side. And these are nice and long. They're actually longer than the feathers. So I'm actually don't know that I want to do that. I think I want them longer than the feathers, but just barely. So I get fuddled up a little bit because sometimes I'm tying these flies with a 10-inch long saddle, and these are more like 4 or 5 inches. So here's my feather. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now I'm gonna fold this. Oh, it's not going anywhere. So do we have our tail set? Not quite. Because another step to this tail. So we had the bucktail, then we had our saddle hackles. Now I'm going to put on, remember this piece of bucktail I had that wasn't quite long enough to suit me? I'm going to pull out the short fibers, even this up. I'm going to tie it in forward of this peak here, the peak, the bump. 2 turns. I'm going to work it around. I want this all the way around the hook, because what I want it to do, I want it to be like a little bit of a halo pointing at a pretty low angle. I'm going to cinch that down and work my thread back. So there, this goes, those fibers are pushing back, and they will help contain the flash and the hackles. It will help them resist the tendency to foul around the hook. So now I'm trimming this. I don't have to really, but I want my hook shank nice and clean and clear for putting in my first hollow tie. Now you see me when I'm tying these flies use a lot of super glue between stages. I'm fond of doing that. I think these flies are works of art. They're pretty substantial. They're a lot of fun. Place my first hollow tie. So I've got some bucktail here, and I'm gonna trim a chunk. Now everybody, just about everybody, talks about a pencil size, pencil thickness. Everybody refers to a pencil somehow or other when they're talking about how much hair to use. And then they say things like, well, if you think you've got enough, take out half of it. So I don't know about that, but you've got to have, there's only one way you'll know you've got the right amount, and that's to tie this fly again and again and again. I'm going to go over it twice. Not really pulling hard. I'm going to work this hair all the way around. And when I've got it all the way around, which I do now, then I'm going to cinch down on it. Now, when you're tying a hollow fly, you could trim this material out, or you could leave it. I'm going to choose to compromise and trim a little bit of it out, but not all of it. So The folks that know more about tying these than I do, you'll see them at times. So some tyers will actually put dubbing in here, like ice dub. Some people will wrap a hollow flat braid in there. Some people do nothing. I'm with the nothing crowd. Unless I'm not. Unless I just, hey, I'm going to fancy this fly up. So I've got my little fold back tool. It's not a pen casing. It has a slot to accommodate the large hook eye. And the point here is I'm not going to wrap, if I wrap up on this hair, then it's not a hollow fly. It's a different fly. I want this hair to be out and clear and open and translucent and very light. And that's going to make it, that allows me to achieve considerable mass or bulk. I'll use the term mass or bulk or substance. Presence. Oh, we have the greatest terms to describe our flies. Authority. But it's light, makes it easier to cast. So I'm going to put in my next hollow tie. Now in theory, each time you move forward, you use a slightly shorter chunk of deer hair and slightly thicker in volume. I find I'm not expert enough to accomplish that. I can talk about it, I can say it, but I don't necessarily achieve it, so I don't worry about it. My flies come out just fine. But it's something to strive for. Now, if you have magic deer hair, if you have absolutely super deer hair, you can go 2 turns, whoop, you pull on it, and it just spins around there and flares beautifully. But those bucktails are probably worth $100 a piece if you can find them. So the rest of us mere mortals have to use white bucktail out of the package, off the rack, and we get to be good. We get to be good. So the idea about making each hollow tie slightly shorter and slightly greater volume, the idea is to allow you to build up a taper, a progression. I will work this hair with my thumb and forefinger. I'll kind of compress it there before I tie it down. Now, if you use mono thread, you may need to put a little bit of super glue because your mono thread sometimes just keeps on trying to work forward, and that's no good whatsoever. Okay, that's my second hollow tie. Let's get my third hollow tie in there. So I'm counseled by people who have tied these hollow flies for longer than me. You got to have at least 3 hollow stations in order to make it look decent, and I believe that. So I forgot. So here we go. Third hollow station. 2 turns. A little bit of pressure. Work that deer hair around. Cinch it. I'm using Danville's 210 flat waxed. You could use any similar thread. You could use clear mono. Whether the color makes a difference is up to you. use white, use flow blue. This is chartreuse. Okay, there we go. Coming right along. So I think by now you get the idea. Yeah, I've got 3 hollow stations here. I'm wrapping up against the hair. I'm not wrapping on the hair. I'm just up against it and getting that nice. See, it's flared all the way around the hook. I'm gonna add 2 things. I have 3 hollow stations. I'm gonna add some lateral scale. I'm gonna pull these out a little bit. Not critical, but I like to do it. Have these down this side. Couple of turns, 3 turns. Flip it to the other side of the shank. 3 turns there. Now, I'm going to add some enhancers. I'm going to put some grizzly. I'm going to put 4 grizzly saddle hackles in here. Now, this is not something you have to do. You could add some. You could use some ice wing on top. You could use some crystal flash. You could, I suppose, you could put in some peacock if you wished. I really like the look of these grizzly hackle tips. You could. We're about to finish off this fly. I've got some pastel minnow blue bucktail. I could finish the fly with that, but I think I want some chartreuse in. Now I'm going to try to marry these batches, and I'm just going to get them apart, put them together, see what happened. I think this is going to be pretty nice. Okay, got to have a little bit of room. So here we go. This is not real simple. I'm going to take some flow blue bucktail and get a little pinch of it. And I'm going to add this to the very top of this fly. Got the right size piece. Got the ends trimmed nice and flush. And I need to capture this with the thread so that the thread doesn't slip forward. I need to cinch that down. And these, can you see how these butts flared just a little bit? That will make sure that they don't go anywhere. Now, I'm going to try to do the same thing on the bottom with a different color. So let's try a nice pink. So again, I don't have much space there to secure this. So I've got to set right there. Get my thread over there and then just pull down. And so that twisted a little bit, so I'm going to work it back. Now, here we go. I'm going to hold this here and I'm going to get my thread back. So I got pink on the bottom. It doesn't spin around. I got blue on top. It doesn't spin around. And now I'm going to work on trimming those butts a little bit. And chances are good I'm not going to get them trimmed so that they disappear. It's okay. We'll get that. We'll get it just right on the next fly. So I might not be able to disappear those butts. But the good news is that they're not coming out. Time to add my 8mm Pro Sport Fisher tab eyes. That's pretty close. Is it? Yeah, I think it is. The albacore, like they'll bite these flies better if they see the eye. I don't have any. I know that's not true, but I still like to do it. They look so good in my boxes. Now what we're gonna do next, I'm gonna tie a leader. I'm tying a leader here, and I'm gonna go in the kitchen. I'm gonna run this under hot water. And I'm gonna bring it out and hang it up. And what's gonna happen is, instead of looking all fuzzy like that, it's going to sleek down like this fly. So I'm going to cut now, and then I'll come back after I have soaked this and let you see what it looks like. Okay, here we go. This is my Hollow Deceiver. I've soaked it, I've worked it like this, and I've left it wet. I'm going to hang it up to dry, and it's going to puff out a little bit, but it's going to keep some of this shape. And these things look so cool. I'd like you to see also kind of a nice round baitfish shape. Little bottom view, got that pink underneath, got that blue back. Okay, there you go. It's wet, and when it's dry, it's going to be more like this one right here. Okay, wet, dry, wet, dry. Okay, I hope you've had some fun. I've had some fun with this. I really enjoy tying these Hollow Deceivers. I'm going to tie some more hollow style flies with different tails and different color combinations. And I'm just going to have fun with it, so I hope you do too. Thank you.